Welcome to the Property Elite podcast. I'll be your host, Jen Lehman, chartered surveyor and co-founder of Property Elite. Stay tuned each week for more on industry hot topics, market updates and new RICS guidance.
Once the candidates have done all their submission and everything, they're thinking, oh my goodness, what's next? And obviously prepping for their interview. And we get a lot of questions about what the interview looks like and what preparation they should be going through. So we kind of aiming to just go through a few tips today. So tip number one, know your submission. So what do we mean by that, Tatenda?
So it's what exactly is in your submission, your competencies, and have you reached all the correct levels? Have you accounted for all the competencies, level 1s, level 2s, level 3s? There is a video about that where we've gone through that, if you refer to that. And also,
it's also about your about the examples that the candidates are using in the level 2 and level 3 competency choices. So what's really important is that the candidates are really familiar with those examples. So when they're asked questions about a specific job that they have done, they are able to identify it quickly and respond quickly to the assessors about that particular detail. So when you're writing your level 2, level 3s, you're going to have 2 examples at level 2, probably 3 examples at level 3 of what you've actually done.
Yeah, and just making sure, again, going back to the levels, that you are making sure that level 3 is seasoned advice and why you're giving that advice, and level 2 is really important as well. Just referencing back to those examples, just to add to what you said, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you know, when I'm assessing, I find it quite annoying if I ask a question about a specific job and a candidate doesn't know which job I'm talking about, because I think, well, actually it's your submission, maybe you should be familiar with that. So I think that's kind of how I see this tip as being, you know, if you've written it, make sure you know it. Okay.
Yeah, a great tip actually for remembering is to, whether it's the address or the town, it's so that you can quickly identify the example with the question that's been asked.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And so our next tip is understand your case study. And this is, again, about knowing detail about what you've actually done and being able to explain that. So there's some key issues in the case study, aren't there?
They are key issues. It's not necessary that they need to be problems, but it is your reasons, how you thought about your case study, your reasoned advice, and what you specifically did in this project. Of course, we know that you'll be supervised, but it's really important to reference to yourself, like I, and also identifying those 3 core issues that you looked at. Whether it's, I know, for example, just giving a quick example, in commercial property, it might be the location or the rent, the evidence, etc. But of course, there are so many competencies, so the example will, those key issues will differ from the different
property to property, maybe, or and your advice. I think it's just really understanding how you got to your advice, isn't it? So what was your advice and what were the reasons that led you to that conclusion, and giving that advice to the client?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So tip number 3 then, have a great presentation. So what makes a great presentation?
Definitely having your timings your timings right. It can't be too short, it can't be too long. It needs to be definitely a few seconds either way of that 10-minute mark. Making sure that you have all your key points covered. You want to show that you are confident, that you are a safe pair of hands, at obviously sharing that this project you've done and describing those key issues. So it needs to be succinct, to the point, very punchy and very detailed. Have your maps in there, have all your visuals in there, but making sure that it's not too wordy as well. It's clear, concise, and to the point.
That's really what I wanted to kind of talk about, was the slides. So you have to have a really good slide deck to support your presentation, don't you? And you've only got 10 minutes, so you're not talking about 20 slides. You need to have about sort of 6, 8, 10 max slides.
Yes.
You're going to set out your presentation clearly. And you said not too wordy, and I think that's really important as well, because the assessors can't read a load of text on the screen. They're not going to want to see that. They're going to want to see really good visuals and maybe bullet points, but nothing more detailed than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and we talked briefly about timing there, and tip 4, practice timing and delivery. So the presentation is 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes of the interview, and it's done on Teams, the interview. So you've got to really make sure that you can use your slide deck properly. So if you're going to do a PowerPoint presentation, whatever that looks like, that you have to know how to deliver that in Teams. So have you got any tips around that?
Absolutely. Make sure your laptop is charged. Make sure you've had a good trial, whether it's 1 time, 2 times, 3 times before your interview. Make sure you can maybe reach someone that you can connect to Teams with. Make sure the slides are going in the direction you want them to, so that they are whether you're doing it on Canva or PowerPoint, you just need to make sure that the slides are following the sequence that you need them to be. So test your tech, test your tech, and make sure your laptop is charged. Make sure you're going onto your laptop at least 10 minimum, 20 minutes before, and just making sure your internet connection obviously is also secure. These are just all really important things, because not only obviously are they really important for your interview, but your presentation is so important, because it's a first impression.
That's right, and it's kind of your shop window, isn't it? So you're saying, this is me, this is what I can do, this is what I've achieved. So you don't want all of those little things to let you down, and so it is a question of preparing that really well. And the presentation, the slides need to look professional. They need to look really good, don't they?
They do. So as you touched on earlier, the bullet pointing and also just mapping them out with clear, this is the project address, this is the location plan, these are the visuals of whether it's the land, the unit, the house, whatever your pathway is. So making sure that it's very clear, very professional, just like you are presenting a business case at work. Making sure that all those things are met.
Okay, good. So then going on to the next tip. So, preparing for your interview is a really big struggle in terms of revision. What do you need to know? And that's a whole topic in itself. But the first step really to start with is putting a revision plan together. And have you got any tips around that?
Yes, definitely. I would say a revision plan is really important, because there is so much to take in the submission and the case study. Yes, you have done the work and it should come as second nature. But however, remembering all the different examples and which competency they come under, you need to allow yourself a good amount of time. So your plan should probably be structured. I would definitely say, of course, if you are in the 2-year, process, you have been working on this for a while now. Yeah. But that sort of maybe 6 months mark, having a solid plan that this is how you're going to study and what are you going to study and what part of your case study and what part of your experience you're going to study. And then even if you're doing the professional route as well, just you've had such a breadth of experience, but remembering those specific example is really crucial, because it needs to align with what is in your actual submission.
Yeah.
So you can show that you understand what you have submitted, and these are not new examples that you are putting.
Exactly. And maybe also just sort of dividing it up into chunks. So you need to kind of know your the background, the level 1 knowledge behind all your competencies. So perhaps looking at some time on the mandatory competencies, then moving on to the technicals afterwards, or mixing it up, whatever works best for you. Really, there's a lot to cover. You need to make sure you've got enough time to do it. So good. And that, as you know, is a big topic. Perhaps we'll have to do a video on that one too. So moving on to the next tip then, ethics, rules of professionalism. So last 10 minutes of the interview, those are the questions you're going to get mostly. There'll also be questions on some of your mandatory competencies. So ethics, rules and professionalism, if you have a wrong answer for an ethics question, it is an automatic referral. So how can you guard against that? How can you guard against that in your revision strategy?
I would say with ethics, from my personal experience, I made sure that I had a little card detailing what those what the the ethics and the rules of conduct and professionalism are. And I just made that my second Bible, my second journal, just reading those all the time, because sometimes you ask these questions right at the end, you may be experiencing some sort of burnout, fatigue, or just going on. And so you just need to stay calm, stay grounded, and try and remember, and also have examples as well for yourself, because ethics is so important. It's so important. Without the ethics and following the rules, etc., obviously it doesn't make you a safe pair of hands. You need to have integrity. You need to have professionalism. You need to take responsibility. There's so many things that need to be covered, up above and beyond, of course, what you know in your competencies. So it's really important to live the ethics and rules and professionalisms in your day-to-day professional life.
Thanks for listening to the Property Elite podcast this week. Head to our website to check out our full blog, free and paid support resources and services, free consultation for every single RICS APC and ASOC RICS candidate, and also ask us any questions you have via the website chat blog. See you next week.